What we do here is go back.
They're trying to get that defense as formidable as possible.
Is there a Fast and Furious?
Yeah, I think there was.
Let's get into it. Let's get into our NFL mock draft 1.0, I believe, is our first time. We usually do this just me and you, but now we're actually recording it, so I think it's exciting.
Oh, yeah.
I have the odds. You have these evens. Excuse me. So I'm going to take number one, big shocker, Trevor Lawrence to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't think it's even a conversation at this point. Everyone has just slotted that in. So Trevor Lawrence, not much to say, quarterback out of Clemson. He's going to go there. Urban Meyer came out of retirement for a good reason, but he's going to come in and he's going to take his guy, and we're going to go from there. So this is where the draft starts. New York Jets, number 2, Micah.
Yes, like you said, this is where it starts. This is where, things, I guess, could go a few different ways. I think there is an easy answer and also a right answer, and I think those things are both one and the same, and that's going with Zach Wilson, quarterback out of BYU. There's so much talk about the Jets, like, do they like Darnold? Are they going to stick with Darnold? You had, I think it was Corey Davis came out saying, he came to the Jets with the idea that Darnold was going to be his quarterback, and they're sticking with him. You know what I mean? But then you've got your pick of the litter, whichever quarterback out of the draft you want to go with. Do you trade out of it? I think new regime, new head coach, they're going to go out. They got a chance to get someone who is truly a dynamic quarterback and can start over fresh instead of being like, well, I guess we'll just kind of wing it. And, they could take an offensive tackle here and, go with Darnold one more year. And if he doesn't work out, get their rookie guy next year. But is there someone you're going to value as much as Zach Wilson? If, most coaches and GMs only have one chance to get their guy. And if they think he's their guy, they got to take him. So.
Yep. I'm so happy you did that because I believe it will be Zach Wilson as well. I think it's one of those things where you're picking that high, and yes, you picked that high with Sam Darnold before, but you hope to not pick that high again. And that brings me to the San Francisco 49ers at number 3. They traded up. So they traded 3 first-rounders to go from 12 all the way up to 3. Got to be a quarterback, right? And I consulted with our guy, Carl, and we talked it out. We talked out the multiple options. There is Mac Jones, right? There is Mac Jones who fits the Kyle Shanahan scheme. He looks like a Matt Ryan. He looks like a Kirk Cousins. There are many different ways that it can go. I did bring up, hey, it could be Trey Lance. I think there's a lot of things that are falling in that direction. You look at the Niners, they run the ball 40 times a game, and it doesn't matter if it's CJ Beathard, if it's Nick Mullins, if it's Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, they're still going to pound the ball and run for 200 yards. So you could have a Trey Lance who is underdeveloped as a quarterback or, a passer in a sense. So you could have someone like that where you can just get him into what it looks like, into making the reads, making the checks, things like that. But it has to be Justin Fields. I think it has to be. I think he's someone that he can do it all. I think he can run the offense right now. I think he can make the throws. I have questioned him on throwing the ball outside the hash, similar to a Dak Prescott in that sense. But I think he's someone that can come in. He can develop. He can still get the reads, but also make the big time throws. If you look at the San Francisco 49ers, or at least Kyle Shanahan for a second, you had Matt Ryan going back to Kyle Shanahan on the Falcons. And they had a quarterback that could get through the reads, MVP. He was an MVP that year. They went to the Super Bowl but also couldn't make plays off of the platform, off of that first read, that second read, whatever it was. So it was 28-3. Everyone knows it. It was just March 28th, okay, celebration. But it was, he was one of those guys that could be like motion, punch fake. 1, 2, nothing. What now? Right. So I think Fields can get through those things. And then at the end of the day, extend it. And that's where Jimmy G fell into it, where it was like, not there, not there. Ooh, take a shot deep against the Chiefs, right? Overthrow him, whatever. He's not the guy to get off of something and be able to create something. So I think Kyle Shanahan is so smart that he can just be like, you know what? I need someone that I know he can get this, but can also move off of it, create something that's not there. So Justin Fields, number 3, quarterback, Ohio State.
Love it.
Carl wanted it. I wanted it. But it's an honorable mention. It's an honorable pick. So Carl is going to take the crown here, and I hope it's the pick. Actually, I don't, because I want him there too. If I were the Niners, I would want him there too. So anyways, I hate him, but I think it's a good fit overall. Number 4, Atlanta Falcons. This is where I'm getting, sorry. From here, I'm going to have to just be like, start typing.
Playing off the hip.
Yeah. So go ahead. Number 4, Atlanta Falcons. What do you got?
Yeah. So I think the Falcons sit here and they are just cracking beers, sitting back, and perfectly fine. Yeah. Perfectly fine.
One of my favorite things.
Sipping beers with the boys. It's not a Saturday, it's a Thursday night, but it's, you're cracking them nonetheless, because they can sit there and be okay and perfectly content with no matter which way the Niners go. And since the Niners went Justin Fields, the Falcons are going Trey Lance, quarterback, SDSU. I think one of the reasons Lance fits perfectly in that mold, like you said, little underdeveloped in the passing, but with the way Matt Ryan's contract is constructed, they would lose a ridiculous amount of money if they got rid of him this year. But if he's cut post June 1st in 2022, they save like $23 million in cap. They cut off the next couple years of his contract. So you get Trey Lance in there, sitting behind him for a year, learning, and then bring him in 2022, be your starter. Dude's dynamic. I'm going to put it out there, right? I've been big on Trey Lance for a little bit. I really like him. I think that he is going to have the second best career out of this quarterback class behind Trevor Lawrence. So you heard it here first. Check back in 4 years when contracts are being given or not being given. We'll go from there. But Falcons, number 4, get their quarterback of the future, Trey Lance.
Good. Okay, cool. I didn't know if you would go there, but I think it helps. But all in all, we don't need to spend too much time, because there's only some significant moves and some significant draft picks that we're going to address. But I think that is important, because you do have Matt Ryan. You do need someone to develop. When do you do that? Does Matt Ryan even want to play with someone like that behind him? Who knows? But Trey Lance is the guy. Mike, I said it here first. We have number 5, Cincinnati. And last year, number 1 overall pick, Joe Burrow. Correct? Correct. He got hurt, out for the year. That sucked. They're like, hey, need to protect him. Need to bring in some crew, some motley crew, some would say, okay? But you did sign some offensive line help, okay? You do have some guys that went out that are coming back. You have some options. So the initial thought is that we need to protect Joe Burrow. It's going to be a tackle. Cincinnati sits at 5, no big deal. No, my friend. I'm Lou Hortz. He just puts on the thing, whatever, College Game Day.
Yeah.
Anyone watch that? No big deal. I think they don't go that way. And then it is Jamar Chase.
Wow.
Jamar Chase comes off the board, right? Makes sense. Wide receiver 1, he's coming up. Everyone's like, hey, him and Joe Burrow, that makes sense. They have the offensive line help. No, my friends.
Wow.
No,
Don't you
my
Dikembe me.
Yeah. Mac Jones. No, just kidding.
It's like, wait a minute.
Kyle Pitts.
Ooh, man.
This is why this makes sense. Okay. Hear me out. Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins on both sides. Okay. You have enough in between. You do not have a tight end. Okay. Eifert, gone. Jacksonville Jaguars. You bring in Kyle Pitts, arguably the best offensive weapon in this draft. And you can follow the lead. Joe Burrow has been just banging the drum for Jamar Chase. Makes sense. At this point, I think it's Kyle Pitts. I think you need to just do what's best for the franchise. Someone like Jamar Chase will come around more often than someone like Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts, number 5.
Look at
Cincinnati
you. Look at you.
And now,
Man, you
now-
just absolutely ruined everything.
I'm sorry.
No,
for that.
I'm just kidding. You didn't really, but
kind of, and that's fine.
but kind of. Okay, well, that means that I am sitting here with Miami on the
Mhm.
clock at number 6. So originally, you had Niners at 12, traded up with Miami. Miami then traded up with Philadelphia, who was at number 6. Miami's now at 6. Eagles are now at 12. And, you know, Miami looked at it and they thought for sure that they were going to get a chance to get their number one guy that they wanted on the receiving side of things, and they did, and that's Jamar Chase. They were pretty sure with the Bengals there that they could potentially take offensive lineman, but they also thought, hey, like you said, the connection, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, that duo created, two of the best players on the best offensive team of all time in college history. Nonetheless, their guy's still there. They get the most dynamic receiver in the draft and start building this wild team that they're just putting together with all these draft picks. So Miami Dolphins, Jamar Chase, number 6.
Yes, and they have so many draft picks because they keep trading, they keep moving back. Another thing where it's, you have Miami and it's like, oh, Devontae Smith is there. Sorry, we got to go with best player available, and that is Jamar Chase, even though it's the same position. So that leads me to Detroit, number 7. Now, Detroit sucks, right? Can we all agree there? Detroit is not well currently, but here they are. They just traded Stafford to the Rams. So they had this at the pick. They now have Goff, sent out Stafford. So here they are, and there's a lot of different ways they can go. And really, they need help at wide receiver. So they're going to go Devontae Smith, wide receiver 2, 1A, 1B, whatever you want to call it. They have Tyrell Williams, RIP in peace, for us, 4 years, $44 million, didn't do much. Okay. Galladay, gone. Marvin Jones, gone. That was the only threats they had, and Stafford threw it 50 times a game. So if anything, that didn't fluctuate their stats. So we're going to go number 7, Detroit Lions, Devontae Smith, who is considered probably wide receiver 2 at this point. But Goff needs a weapon. Maybe in 1 or 2 years, they may address the quarterback position. Now's not the time. 4 quarterbacks have gone off the board. Not the time to do it. Devontae Smith, Alabama. You are up next on the clock. Carolina Panthers, number 8. What do you got?
Yeah, and just to go off of what you kind of just said, it was the first 4 picks, 4 quarterbacks went off the board.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Has that ever happened?
I don't think it's ever happened. I once again, don't take my uneducated word for it, but I don't think that's ever happened.
We're going to say it has not happened.
Yes. Okay, so now we got the Panthers on the clock at number 8. Right here is where I think that window starts for our first defensive player to go off the board. And, when we talked about it, we talked about the linebackers. Who did I say he was comp to? Luke Kuechly, right? And that is the Panthers taking Micah Parsons, linebacker, Penn State University. They didn't get a chance to go up and get their quarterback. Their big time talks of potentially moving up. By the look on your face that I can't see, I think I ruined just about everything for you. But they go in and they get their Luke Kuechly. They get that guy that is going to do everything in the middle of the field for them. They get their defense working on being revamped again. Maybe they try to potentially target a quarterback somewhere else, move back up into the first round. Who knows? But at this point, they don't like Mac Jones enough to take him there. Micah Parsons is too elite of a player to not pull the trigger on. And as much as I would have loved him to drop all the way to 17, and that would never probably happen, that is where the Panthers are going. Micah Parsons, number 8.
All right, dude. Well, I ruined it. You ruined it. We're fine. Okay. Micah Parsons, number 8, because that's where I had the Broncos going. But hypothetically, if this plays out, I'm not mad because, the Broncos in our division don't have that. Excuse me. Don't have that option. But also, they do have another option, and that is going to be someone that is one of my draft crushes. Denver has, even though they have addressed the cornerback position, there are options there. Wide receiver options, sure. Still Jalen Waddle, Mac Jones. He's out there also. But they're going to be smart, and they're going to take Patrick Surtain because they brought in a couple defensive backs on one-year deals, and I don't care about what the roster looks like right now. You bring in someone, Patrick Surtain, and gosh dang it. I mean, regardless, unless they took someone that was just like an offensive lineman, I could get thrilled about for being in our division. But, they don't take Parsons, which is who I had them taking. They're going to take Surtain at number 9, cornerback out of Alabama. It just makes sense. It's a need. The other guys, once again, as I mentioned, on one-year deals. So here we go. Denver Broncos, number 9, Patrick Surtain. Dallas Cowboys, who do you got?
Yeah.
It's going to go wild from here because we are going to keep just like offsetting each other.
Yes, definitely, because that was like legitimately just who I had. That was
you got Surtain at 10.
Yeah, I did. Absolutely did. So they don't get their their other Alabama corner to play on the other side. So they just go with the next corner off the board. That's Caleb Farley. That's me just winging it, but
you son of a bitch.
They're trying to get that defense shored up on the back end of things, and this is probably right around the time frame you see these corners start to fly off the board. So as much as they would love Surtain, they're going to go Farley. Going to go with, potentially the second best corner on the board at the time. So Dallas Cowboys, number 10, Caleb Farley.
Well, I think so. Just something to note is that he did have back surgery recently, and then everyone is downplaying, whether he's going to be ready or is that going to affect his draft stock. I don't believe that's the case. So he's someone that is a top 5 player in this class. We may look at it in 3 years and be like, wow, that's someone that I cannot believe that one little outpatient surgery was something that we docked him to the second round, or we're going to be like, yeah, he was injury prone, what have you. So good pick. I love it. I hate it, but I love it, and I'm with it. So New York Giants staying in the division. So they have a couple needs. They need some help at the corner position, but you took the 2. Well, I took 1, you took the other. So I do think that they say we are going all in on Daniel Jones, and we're going to take Jalen Waddle at number 11, New York Giants. And it's one of those things where you have Saquon, you have Evan Ingram, who, don't draft him on your fantasy, by the way, because he is just the worst. He always projects for like 11 points, probably 2 catches, 46 yards. And you're like, 4.6. He's got it. That's good yards per catch. Don't do it. But they do have enough weapons where they can invest. Their defense is actually pretty nice. They got to invest more a little bit. They need some corner help, as I mentioned, but I do think they go all in on Daniel Jones, give him 1 more year, maybe 2 more years, and see what they go. But Jalen Waddle, he's explosive. He's someone that can take the top off the defense. And I think that's where the New York Giants go at number 11. Michael, and Micah, what say you?
Yeah, so at number 12 here, we've got the Eagles, like we mentioned before. They traded back. And, I think the Eagles were really, really, really hoping that Kyle Pitts dropped to that point. Um, the Eagles on my draft board were really, really hoping that Kyle Pitts was going to drop to that point, but he did not. And they actually are perfectly fine and excited that J.C. Horn drops to them at number 12. So cornerbacks flying off the board. Big position of need. To some people, he's, cornerback too. Like you said, probably maybe has something to do with the surgery that I was not aware of that happened, that I had no idea about. So, but nonetheless, Eagles go in, they get a top cornerback out of this draft and start showing up the backside of that defense a little bit.
Well, this is actually unfortunate, and I did not even realize this until you start talking, but Penei Sewell still on the board, number 13. And I don't know, here's what I think we should realize is that there's all this stuff with the mock draft and I fall victim to it where I dive in and say, this is exactly how it's going to go. And this is where this person, and then when it happens on draft day, I'm like, how is this happening? Each team will evaluate and say, this is what our board is. This is what we've got in free agency, similar to the Cincinnati pick that I had with Kyle Pitts. Who knows if that's going to go in that direction, but there's a justification period where it's like, hey, we feel fine on the O-line and we just need more weapons. All good. Penei Sewell drop into number 13 sucks. If it does happen, I just realized I have to pick 2 out of the 3 AFC West competitors in our division, right? I do have the Raiders, you have the Chiefs, that's fine, but I don't like picking best player available for both of them, but they do fall victim, not even victim, they have the luxury of taking Penei Sewell at number 13, protect Justin Herbert. The other option would be they did address free agency in the offseason, so could you take a weapon if Jalen Waddle was there? Sure. But Penei Sewell, top 5 pick, get him at 13. That's where the Chargers go, and go Chargers go is what Arnold would say. So number 14, Minnesota Vikings. What do you got, my friend?
Yeah, so the Minnesota Vikings are sitting here on the clock, baffled that the first offensive lineman in general came off the board 1 pick ahead of them. And they're excited about that because that means they get the second best offensive lineman, Rashawn Slater. And they've got needs on the offensive line. They've got needs, within guard, needing a tackle as well. Going out, getting the best player available you can at the time for the offensive line. There's a lot of offensive talent on the board, but I think this is where it starts to come off. I think if you look where they're at in the second round, the drop off at what they might be able to get in the second round when it comes to offensive line, if they, go for more of a luxury pick, maybe an edge rusher or something like that at this point. But offensive line, they shore up a big position, one of the more athletic, grittier offensive linemen in the draft, Rashawn Slater.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they could have been more excited about that because he, for all intents and purposes, he shouldn't last as long. But I do think that this is realistic. I think there's a lot of quarterbacks that go first. There's what we have was 4 in the first 4. And then it rolls out to the top corners and it rolls out to the top wide receivers. So I think it's very fair. And Minnesota reaps the benefits. Wedding singer style. So I think they're happy, they're ecstatic. They have had some issues there. Riley Reef is gone. They have to address that tackle position. So this might be the most chalk of them all. And so I had multiple options as we got through the teens. And the New England Patriots, they're going to take Parsons, gone. J.C. Horn, gone. Mac Jones. Hi there. Mac Jones, number 15 to the New England Patriots. He's getting so much love, so much praise. And I mentioned this. my guy, Chris Sims, I love him. I think he has great input. He is so high and sorry, he does smoke. He is high at times. He is so on the record for saying Mac Jones is the guy over Trey Lance, over Justin Fields. He has Kellen Mond over Fields and Lance, like we mentioned. And I still think that Mac Jones is going to go in the top 10. I don't know where he goes, but I do think that if the Patriots are sitting here, they see Jimmy G, they see a better version of Jimmy G, someone that probably has a better arm than him, that can make a little bit better decisions. And you have Cam Newton, you keep bringing him back on 1-year deals, and you just got to do it, right? So New England Patriots, Mac Jones, number 15. Thoughts? Or you can move on to 16. Up to you.
Yeah, no, well, so the interesting part about that is after you pass the Pats there, you're kind of looking at it and you're like, man, I mean, there might be a chance Mac Jones falls out of the first round if the Pats don't take him, and it probably wouldn't. But, it's like that's the kind of the spot there where it's like it could very well just domino effect, Aaron Rodgers style, just start falling in the first round. But I think that's the most Bill Belichick person that could be coming in there to try and fill the role of Tom Brady. Number 16, Arizona Cardinals. They are, like everyone else, also surprised at the way the offensive line picks have kind of panned out and dropped thus far to this point. They're going to go out and they're going to get the best interior offensive lineman in this draft, and that's Elijah Vera Tucker out of USC. He's someone that, we talked about. He's going to project as a starting guard in the NFL. He's also got some tackle experience. So if you needed to kick him out for one reason or another, injury, stuff like that, he's got the versatility to do so. You've got someone who is going to be a star at the guard position, but can also kick out if needed. So he's going to add some versatility on that offensive line. Start getting Kyler Murray some younger protection there and start shoring up that offensive line a little bit.